to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, and today we are coming to you from Main Street Bookends in Warner, a family-owned independent bookstore serving the New Hampshire area since 1998. Today we have a special presentation, the League of Women Voters Forum of Newbury candidates to be voted on March 12th, followed on Wednesday with the town meeting at Mount Sunapee Resort. After these words from our underwriters, we will join the moderator to hear from the candidates. Remember, buying local keeps our business and dollars in our community, supporting programs like ours.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. Main Street Bookends of Warner, for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner. The Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.
This forum is hosted by the League of Women Voters of Kearsarge Sunapee, which is a nonpartisan political organization dedicated to a more informed voting public. And what's more important to inform you about than the people you vote for? So that's why we're here tonight. My name is Nancy Marascio. I'm vice president of the local league, and I was Newbury's town moderator for 25 years. What we're asking them to do is an introduction first, and then we'll take questions from you, either written or stand up and ask them. We have backup questions, but we'd rather have live audience questions. And then at the end, they'll do a brief summary statement, closing statement. We'll start before we do that. We have a third office, and those people are both out of town. We invited them to send a statement to be read, and one person did and the other didn't. Since they both had the opportunity, I will obviously allow the statement to be read. Liz Tentarelli, our league president for the state, will read it.
So we had two candidates running for the school budget committee called the Municipal Budget Committee, and Claire Kettler is running, and she sent this statement. So I'm reading what Claire has written. This is a statement from Claire Kettler. I am pleased to be able to offer my time and interest to the Kearsarge Regional School District Municipal Budget Committee for Newbury. Unfortunately, I had another engagement that was scheduled prior to this one, and so I'm unable to attend. Thank you all for coming. The reason that I'm running for Municipal Budget Committee is that there does not seem to be a choice about what you and I are offered on the ballot on March 12th. And it has seemed to be this way for a number of years. This year there is Choice A, the school board budget of $54+ million, and then there is Choice B, the Municipal Budget Committee, same $54+ million figure. Taxpayers are basically handed the bill for the school district and have to pay it. Surely the Municipal Budget Committee could sometimes come up with a figure which is different from the school board. The Municipal Budget Committee was supposed to be the taxpayers' eyes, ears, and protection against bloated spending by the school board when Senate Bill 2 was adopted by voters in the Kearsarge district. So I'm not quite clear what is going on in the Municipal Budget Committee. but I am willing to volunteer my time and effort so that you, my fellow Newbury residents and taxpayers, do not have to do this. The school amount represents the largest part of your property tax bill. Of course, you want that tax money that you pay well spent. We have to educate the children. Are we being responsible with taxpayer money in doing this? My goal is to find out. Kearsarge School District enrollment has dropped from 1,895 pupils in 2012 to 1,660 pupils this past October. The cost per pupil continues to increase and is currently $23,774, which is several $1,000s above the state average. Please vote for Claire Kettler for Municipal Budget Committee. Thank you. And that was Claire's statement that she sent.
So what we have on stage are candidates for Select Board and Library Trustee. Allison, so if you will begin for Select Board with your opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you for all coming out on this very stormy night, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring Meet the Candidates Night. My name is Allison Kinsman. I'm running for the office of Select Board because this is my hometown. I care deeply for Newbury, and I feel I can have a positive influence on the management and direction of our town. Minus a handful of school years, I have lived in Newbury for 7 decades. My roots are here. I'm the 4th generation of my family. Over the years, I've been involved in various town and social programs. I taught the Newbury Swim Program for several years, was active in the Lake Sunapee Dive Club, and as my children went through the Kearsarge school system, I was involved in various groups that supported our schools and activities. Before I retired, I worked at New London Hospital and New Hampshire Hospital. I served on a committee of the master plan, 12 years as welfare director, 4 years as an alternate on the planning board, and I have been attending the select board meetings regularly since 2019. When you elect me to the select board, you will get a person who is honest. I will always give you an honest answer to your question. It may be, I'm not very familiar with that, let me do some research and I will get back to you, and I will. I will not give you an answer that I think you want to hear. You will get a person who is kind. It is my practice that despite differences on a given issue, we can always discuss, negotiate, and compromise to reach a solution in a civil manner. The solution may be that we agree to disagree, but we can still be nice about it, and I don't hold grudges. You will get a person who doesn't make snap decisions. I believe that a situation usually has many sides, and it is my practice to assess the situation from all sides, trying to see the point of view from each side. Then I can make the best informed decision. You will get a person who believes that we need to be fiscally responsible, especially keeping our longtime residents in mind so that we do not tax them out of town. You will get a person who cares about our environment. Again, I thank you for coming out this evening, and I encourage you all to vote March 12th, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. That will go to Scott. And by the way, I asked permission to call first names. We're a community. We should treat each other that way. Scott?
Good evening. Scott Wheeler, resident of Newbury. I am on the board right now. Been there. This is my last year on the board. I will either be elected or not. And I'll do another 3 years at this point. I should have had Allison write my speech. She did a very good job.
Thank you.
I avoided the League of Women's Voters here for about a week. I was sick, one reason, but the other reason is that I'm not a speaker. If you've been to the selectmen meetings, you'll find that I will usually say what I'm thinking, and that's it. I don't try and carry on any lengthy conversation. I will do what I need to get done. I'm not coming into this this term with any agenda, personal agenda or otherwise. We have a lot of things we've started, projects. We have a lot of things we've cleaned up. I'm not going to take credit for it all because it's a 3-person board. So, we try the best we can do. I anticipate that it'll be competitive. That's why we have it, so that it's an elected position. I don't think I'm a definite shoo-in by any means. I took a little bit of time period off. I was selectman for about 15 years before, so I know the system and I know what needs to be done for the town of Newbury. I listen to people. You got a complaint, I'll listen. If we can correct it, we'll correct it. If we can't correct it, I'll tell you that. So, and I think there are people here that are well aware of that. So I do have an opinion, and if mine disagrees with yours, it's whatever's in the best interest of the town. So I'm done. You could put the red one up if you want. Thank you very much.
So, library trustee statements.
My name is Jean Paleko. I've lived in Newbury full-time since 2013, although I bought my house in Blodgett Landing in 2001. Prior to my retirement, I worked for Jordan Marsh in Boston. I taught organizational behavior at the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. I was head of compensation and benefits for Circuit City in Richmond, Virginia, and for PC Connection in Merrimack, New Hampshire. And if you've noted that 2 of those companies are no longer in business, I'm taking no responsibility. In 2020, I was elected as library trustee. Before that, I had served for a year as an alternate trustee. And when I was trustee, I was also treasurer and bookkeeper for the library. This past year, I have served as an alternate trustee as well, and bookkeeper. 5 years ago, I became chair of the Newbury Public Library Foundation, raising money to help expand and renovate the library. That was a unique experience for me because it was the first time I'd asked for money since Girl Scout cookies. So the library raised more than $600,000 to offset the cost of expanding the library. And recently, I received the 2023 Special Library Service Contribution Award from the New Hampshire Library Trustees Association in recognition of the money that I'd raised and the support I had solicited for passing the warrant article last March with 73% yes votes. I hope you have enjoyed seeing the progress on the construction of the library. It's very exciting for those of us that have been working for it for a long time. Newbury is very fortunate to have a caring and knowledgeable library staff. 3 of them have masters in library science. The children's librarian is very well regarded, large attendance at story time. Friends of the library are terrific support financially, and I'm very proud to have worked with them over the past few years. Thank you.
Sharon?
Hi, I'm Sharon Stokel. I am a new full-time resident to Newbury. We just sold our house in Connecticut in October. And just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I was in education for 30 years. I was a special ed teacher and administrator. I have a master's degree in reading and an administrative degree. I also was one of 5 teachers that were chosen out of all the Connecticut technical high schools. There's 17 of them. There were 5 of us that were chosen to become professional developers for the system. And we were trained out of the University of Kansas Center for Research and Development. I was also involved with creating literacy labs, language arts literacy labs within the technical high school, because the kids go half a year to trade and they're in academics for half a year. So we wanted to make sure they don't lose skills between the switch. I'm trying to think what else I did. I also was on the youth advisory board in the town that I lived in for 30 years. and worked very well as a team. This is new to me, trying to become a library trustee. I'm a quick learner. I'm a team player. I'm willing to be an advocate for the library, and also think of the diverse needs of the community and programming that the library would have. Okay, red card, I'm done.
Lynn?
Thank you. My name's Lynn Toohey. I live on Morse Hill, and I'm running for my third three-year term as a library trustee. We've accomplished a lot during my tenure, and again, as a team, 5 elected trustees. We finally, after 2 failures, passed the warrant article to get the expansion done. You know, we have faced certain challenges. It's not a glorified book club. Sometimes I wish it was. But, you know, we've dealt with, in the last year, the case of a federal parolee who was in our library using a computer inappropriately. That was spotted, reported to the police. He was banned from the library. You know, we've also had, in the past year, last fall, a challenge to 4 children's books. The group that challenged them was not looking for their removal. I credit them for that. But they did want, these are books designed for young children. They wanted them moved to an adult shelf and accessed by adults only if the adult wanted to hand the book to their child. After 2 long meetings, we upheld keeping the books in our library. So there are challenges that mostly go unnoticed because we don't get a large attendance at our meetings. But, and I wish we did, because it can be very interesting. But anyway, I'm hoping for your support and welcome your questions. Thanks.
Let's take the first question from the audience. Hands?
For each of the library trustee candidates, I think Lynn Toohey has sort of addressed it, but what are your thoughts on letting the librarian, or letting the librarian's ability to choose the books in the library?
And Sharon, we'll start with you.
Well, I think the librarians are knowledgeable on what's new and what is current for children to have. So are you talking just children's books, or are you talking all books?
Well, all books.
All books. I think that librarian is current to what's new. I know a number of times I've called the library because I'm looking to read a book that is on maybe the Oprah book club and whatnot, and they don't have it, and I'll suggest it, and they'll say, well, let me look it up, and then they'll call me back and say, oh, that's a good choice. We're going to order that. So I kind of go along with what they're going to choose, and I think the community too should have some suggestions, and also put some input into what books are in the library too that are appropriate.
Thank you. Lynn?
Oh, okay.
I'm Lynn.
I know.
I was too busy writing down the numbers.
Sharon, so.
You should know we hire the library director and assistant director and approve other hirings. And I have great faith in Leah McBain, our director, our assistant director currently, Emma Brown. They're smart people. They know the books. They're not afraid of controversy. You know, as Leah's told me, you know, hey, we're on the front line. And they are. They are. And we back them because I think they're the ones who should be making the decisions. And if there is a challenge, again, We have since changed the policy, and the challenge goes initially to Leah as director, and then would come to us on appeal, the library trustees. And I think that's proper, and I think oftentimes people need to just express their concerns about content, about placement of certain items in the library, and that's fine, because we all have our opinions. But, and we have fully backed the library staff's decisions.
Thank you. And Jean?
I think I mentioned in my 2 minutes beginning the educational background of our library staff, which is phenomenal for a town that's this size. They are well aware that they're not presenting books from only one point of view. There are different needs from different populations within the town of Newbury. And while you can always get books through interlibrary loan, we participate in that a lot. But it doesn't mean that the librarians who are doing the choosing of the books are only picking books that they like. I mean, they're trying to represent the entire community, and I think that's appropriate. We don't want a few people to decide what other people should read.
Thank you. Another question. Oh, come on, you're here. Dan?
I noticed today in the shop that there is a group in town that is trying to return us to hand-counted ballots. And this would be for all of you. Do you favor eliminating the machine count and doing a hand count?
So let's start with the select board candidates. This time Scott, go first.
Am I in favor of that? The cost of it's going to be a lot higher than what was expected to be able to do that, because you have to have the people there to count the ballots. You have to have the Board of Selectmen there, even though they're not getting paid. But they have to be there as supervisors. So by the time you get all done, there's a larger cost there. Is it necessary? As far as I see, nothing's been proven to my satisfaction that is anything wrong with the system that Newbury has in place. If they could prove that the machine isn't proper or isn't working, we have the option at the time is that you can put in for a hand ballot. You put it in the side of the machine instead of in the top of it. So it's possible to still have that count. Do I agree? No, I disagree with that.
Allison?
I don't have any reason to believe that the machines don't count properly. This came up at a couple of select board meetings, so I talked with our town clerk to find out exactly what does happen with the machine. And she explained the process of sending the counting card to the company. They have to program it for each election we have in what the ballots look like. They send her back with the card with blank ballots. She has a long list of things for testing it and recounting and making sure that the machine is counting the ballots appropriately. And I don't have any reason not to trust that. And like the town clerk also said, the state of New Hampshire does have paper ballots, so it's always an option to go back for a hand count if requested or if needed. But given the extra time and expense to automatically hand count everything, I think we should stick with the system that we have.
Okay, and pass it on. Sharon, you started last time, so it would be Lynn.
Oh, thanks. I oppose the hand counting warrant article because first of all, we've had no demonstrable problem in recent history. There's really no reason for this, and the hand counting can be erroneous. I actually think the machines are more accurate, and there have been several articles. I think, Jean, you pulled one up at a select board meeting. She can elaborate on that. But I just think it's unnecessary, and it's really going to cost taxpayers to have our staff staying, well into the night, possibly resuming the next day, to hand count ballots when and this year alone, we have 4 different elections in this town, 4 trips to the polls. It's just unnecessary. I oppose it.
Jean?
I also oppose it. What Lynn's referring to is an article I found with a Google search at that select board meeting, and it referred to a Harvard professor who had done research on machine-counted ballots versus hand-counted ballots, and his conclusion, or what he discovered in his research, was that 8% of hand-counted ballots had errors versus 0.2% of machine-counted ballots. So for those reasons, I'd rather have the accuracy. I also believe I've read that more and more towns that were hand-counting paper ballots have gone to machine ballots over time. So the trend in the country is toward more machine ballots.
And Sharon?
I agree with the accuracy of the machine ballot. I think there is a discrepancy, possibly with the hand-counted. So I agree that as long as the machine ballots are being counted that way, that's what we should stick with.
Thank you. Another question. And Dan, just as an additional piece, Secretary of State definitely supports the machines as more accurate. People who hand count at the end of the day have been there since 6 in the morning. You get tired.
I have one. Lynn, your opening statement, you said the library book was allowed to stay in the library. It wasn't clear. Did it get moved to the adult section? Or?
No, they stayed in the children's room. They're still in the children's room if they haven't been checked out. The books in question had been with us several years and were checked out twice. And they could have been checked out by adults doing research, kids doing school papers. But they are all in their same position, except one that Leah decided had, so much text in it that it belonged on a reference shelf in the children's section and not like in the stacks, the nice short stacks. I love those. I'm short. But anyway, no, the books remained where they were originally with the exception of that one, and that was Leah's choice.
Thank you. That was a factual question, so I'm not going to go to you two. Another question.
Communication with the voters and the select board and the library trustees is always an issue. We know we have public comment sessions at both of your meetings, and very few people go to those meetings. But if a voter or a citizen in town has an issue, how can they get in touch with you if they think you are the people to solve that? What kinds of lines of communication do you try to maintain both ways between voters and your boards?
All right, let's start with Allison.
Well, I'm not a select board member yet, so I don't know exactly what the process is, but I know that there's phones and emails, and we do have a website that I believe has a place to ask questions, and I would find out more details once I'm elected to see what other options for communication is.
Scott?
Pretty much we refer everything to Pam. So, question and the answers, we don't publish the board's phone numbers, private numbers. We try and do it through Pam, through the office. If you need a number, or we can call you, however that works. But we have no problem returning calls. answers. Sometimes we can't do it immediately, but we will get back to you. That's a given. So as far as communications, I think we have plenty of options there for the board. So.
Okay, Jean?
Any of you are welcome at our monthly board meetings to share whatever your thoughts are there. There is a public input time at the board meeting. In addition to that, just dropping off a note at the library is a very good way to reach me. A year ago, I had some notes from Leah saying people wanted yard signs. I was really pleased about that. So believe me, I responded quickly to that. But, it has not been people will call me. Leah will pass on the information. She may not give out my contact information, but she tells me, and then I call the person back, depending on what the subject is.
Thank you. Sharon?
Well, since I'm not a library trustee or have not been on that committee, I think one way, I'm in Newbury Beautification Committee, and one way we get in touch with each other is through emails, and we answer our emails pretty quickly. There's also, I think, being the library trustee, you're out in the community too, so you're advocating and talking to people in the community. They might approach you or, get to know who you are, and I would be easily approachable.
Okay, and Lynn?
We're all listed on the town website, the library website. Both have links to the Library Board of Trustees. So you can get our names. Some of us have emails attached to those links. And anyone who shows up in a meeting and asks, I'm free with my, home number, cell phone number. So I don't think we're unapproachable, untouchable. We're there. And, beyond that, maybe we should add some phone numbers to the town website, but you know where to find us. Our meetings are always posted.
Okay, thank you. Another question.
This question primarily to the candidates for the select board, and each of you, what do you think is the greatest challenge for the town of Newbury in the next 1, 2, or 3 years going forward?
Scott?
There are issues that I have been privileged to know that really, if you come to the meetings, you also could be aware of it. We have issues that are coming up with Blodgett Sewer that we need to deal with. These are things that have been continued rather than maintained at the time, or fixed, repaired, whatever needed to be done. So we have these issues coming up. We're handling it. We've had, right now, we've got an engineering firm that is giving us all the information back that we asked for. They've come in, they've scoped it, they're telling us what the problems are and where they are. So now we have to sit down and go back through all the information and decide what's the best interest of the town on that. Everything to keep it from going into the lake is our priority. The systems, the rules that we've requested to come up for septic tanks, that's an issue that we need to take care of. That has an effect on all the waterfront properties. They've limited it. The last time we had the meeting, the information meeting was the other night, and it kind of got cut back to Lake Sunapee was their main priority. We have a lot of waterfront property in this town that isn't just Lake Sunapee. From my house, there's a brook that goes by it. It goes into Todd Pond. I know it. My septic doesn't, thank you, but those brooks go in it, and anybody that's got a system that's failed goes into it. Eventually it gets to a lake or a pond. Todd Pond, Todd Lake, that's one of them. Gillingham Pond, we have a lot of them. So that's a priority in the future here, near future, that we've got to address. Town meeting, hopefully people listen, and we can get the tanks regulations in place to take care of that issue. The other ones are going to come along. We get the studies back. We'll be able to deal with those things. That'll come not this year, probably next year for a bond issue, if we have to get into it in a lot of depth or money. That'll come into a bond issue. Luckily, Blodgett's is all by user fee, which helps the town out, but the users have to pay on it. So at that point, I got the red file. Yeah, I do. That gives me an excuse to stop talking. Thank you.
Allison?
I have been attending select board meetings on a pretty regular basis for several years, so I'm kind of aware of some of the projects and the issues of the everyday operation of the town, and then special things that come up that need to be addressed. In addition to that, though, I remember hearing some state statistics a year or so ago that Newbury is one of the fastest growing communities in New Hampshire. And I think that's something that as a board and town, we need to start looking at what does that mean. And change is going to happen, and we can't stop change, but we can embrace it so that we can try to direct it and to be beneficial for everybody involved. And certainly the other issue I feel strongly about is the conservation and protecting our waterways. And like Scott said, our whole town is waterway of some sort, with runoffs off the mountains and the streams and into the ponds and lakes.
Thank you. I'm going to stay with the select board. 2 questions have been passed in. In your own words, what do you feel your job is as a select person? Allison?
My job is select board member. I believe the select board is the elected executive body that oversees the operation of the town, and that the select board has regular meetings, and issues that come up need to be addressed, and make sure that the overall running of the town is going smoothly, and address any issues that come along.
Thank you. Scott? Do you want the question again? In your
Please.
own words, what do you feel your job is as a select person?
Communications is a big issue between the residents of this town and the town's executive position. I think we've got a lot of questions and answers from the public that needs to be answered. I'm trying to think our role is to manage. I've been into discussions with other board members recently in our position to the town administrator, to a position of a town manager. We do not have a town manager. We do have a town administrator. So she answers to the Board of Selectmen. She's supposed to regulate or direct these things to the board. We make the final decisions.
Okay, thank you. And the other question is also to the select board. So Scott, has there been any progress with cell phone service?
Not really. I'm trying to think. A friend of mine just changed his over to U.S. Cellular, and it's worse than Verizon. So I don't think it's been any improvement. We've discussed it several meetings. We've got a committee that's supposed to be looking at it. They kind of fell away. So at this point, no. And I guess we need to readdress that or bring it back. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Allison?
I guess that's one of the things I would say. I really don't know a whole lot about it, but I'll have to do some research and get back to you. I do have U.S. Cellular, and I have noticed that I can get coverage. Actually, I was partway up Mountain Road a couple of weeks ago and still talking, and I'm like, how does this happen? So I guess it depends on weather and so forth, whether we do get service. So I really don't know what the town has been doing about it, but it would be something to look into.
Okay, thank you. Other oral questions?
When I moved here 9 years ago, I was told, I live at Newbury Heights, 52 Newbury Heights, the old folks home up there. I was told that they were working on getting cell phone service. Now, when everything goes down up there, what do you call it? The internet goes down. We have no home phones. And consequently, our cell phones are no good. And we have elderly people in there. We need a service, cell phone service. A lot of us have cell phone service, and we have to come down here to the library or right around in town and find someplace where we can get cell service.
Okay, you've raised the issue, but no question. Do you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to know when they were going to work on getting cell phone service.
All right, there's your question. Are you ever going to work on it?
Is that to me?
Yeah,
Thought Allison was going to answer that one.
she'll get it.
First time I heard about it, but because your power goes down or you lose the internet,
Our home phones are down.
you lose your phones.
Landlines are down.
Okay.
Not the landlines. Not mine is.
Yeah, that's
This is not a landline.
a TDS, and it's not cell phone, but it's the TDS internet.
It's not TDS. No, it's not TDS. But it's a satellite phone.
Satellite?
Whatever. It has to go.
No, it's got to be.
All right, I'm not going to sort of bog down in this.
Okay, Allison said she could answer.
I can answer all of it. I have TDS, and I'm up on the mountain, and there's no cell service. And we recently, a couple of years ago, transferred over to fiber optic. And then I learned that when the power goes off, fiber optic to your phone goes dead. So not only do you don't have your internet, but you don't have the fiber optics. So my Princess rotary dial phone didn't work. But we did purchase a battery backup so that when the power goes off, my Princess rotary dial phone will go for about 24 to 36 hours so we can call out. But it certainly sounds like something the town needs to try to revitalize that committee and see what is happening and can we get more service.
Okay, thank you. We have a question over here? No? Okay. Go ahead.
Just wondering if the select board has considered something called community power. It's
That's on the warrant. We've had sessions, or can I answer that?
You could.
So we've had not hearings, but educational meetings, several of them this year and several in the last 2 months. So, yeah, Danny just said night before last. So, yes, we've been trying to educate everybody that this is coming up to be voted on. There are issues in it that we're going to have that some people dislike, but we have to get the best deal possible, we had to get everybody in town on it, and then they have to withdraw it on their own after it passes. So there are a couple of things that I don't like about it, but it's very easily rectified very quickly. So yes, it is in place.
Allison?
I'll just say that we have an amazing energy committee in Newbury, and they've been very meticulous in following the process and reporting to the select board and having public education sessions. And yes, it is on the warrant for town meeting. And if that gets passed, then we would proceed ahead in getting the town on community power. And I guess there's, 60 or 70 towns that are in the process of doing this, in addition to several that have already been on it. So I think it's kind of exciting. And yeah, it's not perfect for the whole thing, but overall, if it's going to save our electric bill a bit, then I'm for it.
Okay. Other questions?
I'd like a question to the library trustee candidates. With the library just being a few months away from being completed in its expanded state, what programs do you think should be either increased that we already have, or new programs, new activities that you, the trustees, should encourage the library director to put into place?
Sharon?
I'm coming from a town in Connecticut that had a lot of programs, not only for children and adults. There were always children's programs, whether they were held in the library or they were packets. Of course, during COVID, everything was a packet to go, but they still do some of their programs online or by packet for the parent that can't get their child to the library, which I think is a good thing too. And there were a lot of adult programs. There were book discussion groups. There were, we had internet safety, vaping programs, some programs that you would think would only be at the high school, but parents of junior high students wanted to hear that too. So there are a lot of programs also that I think the library could include for adults.
All right. Lynn?
Hi, excuse me. A large part of this expansion is a programming room. And you've all gotten here, most parked over across the street. This is where we meet monthly, most times. And crossing this street is life-threatening. So we will have now a dedicated programming room, so more meetings and programs, and we run, oh God, upward of 185 a year, which seems staggering, but if you think about the COVID vaccination van that came to the library when the library wasn't even open or was doing only curbside service, I mean, this is an invaluable piece of this expansion, and it's what I'm most looking forward to. We also, now with the programming room, or in May, we expect our grand opening to be there then, we can also do crafts projects with the kids and with adults that doesn't require disassembling everything, stowing it, bringing it back out. Lego robotics is a really good example of that one. You can be working on a project for several weeks, and your progress on that project remains.
Okay, Jean?
As Lynn said, there are an awful lot of programs that are offered today. Some of them I manage to get to and some of them I don't, but a lot of them involve children, but there are more adult programs than there are children's programs, including a book club that does, and a writing workshop. So, but if you have ideas for programs that you would like to have, that's a very good thing. One of the other things that comes with the expansion is a meeting room so that people can meet in private and close the door. So if somebody wants to have a conference with a counselor or a real estate agent or somebody where you want to have a conversation that isn't open to the entire community, you'll be able to do that. So we're still figuring out how we manage, because the plan is to have, when the addition is completed, then the library operations will shift into the new space and the renovation will begin for the old space. So it's going to be an interesting time. At this point, I think we have had to close the library only 2 days for construction issues in the whole time that the construction's been going on, which is a very positive thing.
So here's a delightful question. So we'll just go down the 3 trustees. What is the one thing you would like the public to know about our library that they may not already know? Because you know more than everybody.
We have computers that are used by a fairly substantial number of people, because there are pockets, you were talking about cell phone access, there are parts of Newbury that have terrible internet access as well. And in addition, there are people who either can't afford or don't have a working computer. When I was raising money, I talked to some people about what first brought you to the library, and they said when we moved here, we couldn't have internet access, so we had to use the library's computers. And not only can you use the computers, but the library staff is trained to teach you how to set up your iPad, how to set up your iPhone. They can help you get on Facebook, the things that some of us may find more challenging, and they've got the knowledge to help you do that. So it's both using computers, questions about other things.
I'm not as knowledgeable as these 2 ladies sitting next to me, but I do have to say, in the summer, my grandchildren are here, and a lot of times I've brought them to the programming at the library. And the children's librarian, she is wonderful. She's had wonderful programs. They've been delightful. They've been on the lawn. They've been tables set up outside of the library. And I even had, she knew I was the teacher at one point, so she said, "Do you want to help?" And I said, "I would love to." So I just think getting the word out to the town that there are wonderful, wonderful programs offered at our library, both for adults and children. Oh, good thing the top's on.
There are so many things about our library, but one anecdote that strikes me, and I actually, I was a career journalist and do articles occasionally on library activities for the Innertown Record. During the construction period, our children's librarian, Nancy Gove, turned this into a learning project. We had kids in safety vests and hard hats, some as young as 3 years old, you know, actually being allowed to go into the construction site. I mean, obviously, the guys running the site knew this in advance and made sure it was safe. And it was, you know, wonderful for the kids. I mean, they were in awe that they've got a window literally a window in the children's room onto this construction project. So our groundbreaking was May 30th of last year, and these kids they've been the best witnesses to the expansion as it's grown. So I think that's pretty cool, and I give Nancy credit for, you know, seizing the opportunity and making it so fun for the kids, and also trying to keep their attention when the big machinery's out there working.
Thank you. Unless there are more questions, we're close to 8 o'clock, so I'd like to do the closing statement. Anybody else have a pressing question? Okay, closing statement. Scott, you begin. I'm keeping my rotation.
First off, there is a child labor law. Did you know?
You know.
You didn't pay him much, did you? No. Closing statements. I think the board that's there now and my participation, we've accomplished a great deal in the last 3 years. The new PD was voted on, the renovation, that is done now. We actually had money enough to move over and work on the old part that was going to stay. So there's a lot of stuff that's been done there. If you have the opportunity, please stop in and see Brad or whichever one's working. So anyway, the PD has come along. We worked at the sewer station. We took down a very unsafe building that our department head was working out of. That's been all renovated, not renovated, it's a new building. So that's in place. So there's been a lot of accomplishments that have happened in this town due to the fact of the residents of this town and the funding and the cooperation that they've had. So it's been an interesting time. There's, like I said, there's our board meetings, our selectmen meetings, we have every other Monday. We open it to the public for they can say or ask questions as need be. So hopefully we'll see if we can continue, but thank you.
Like I said, I have been attending select board meetings, so I know that there's been a lot of things going on in Newbury, a lot of good things. This is my home. I've lived here for almost forever. I intend to live here for many more years, and I look forward, if voted into the select board, for the opportunity to help continue the town to grow and change and take care of the things that need to be taken care of, and I appreciate your support for that opportunity.
Thank you. Sharon, you begin.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. I know I'm fairly new to Newbury, and I just would like to, I've always given back to the town and worked in the town that I lived in, so I would just love to be on the library board of trustees and work as a team and get the input from the community and work with the librarians. Thank you. This way.
Nancy was a fabulous moderator in Newbury, and, you know, I don't do anything without looking to her when she's moderating something. No, it's unusual that we have a contested race for library trustees. You'll choose two of the three of us. But I have to say, this has been a great opportunity. I applaud you all for coming out. The visibility out there is terrible, but I just let the chips fall where they may, but thank you for being here.
I agree with Lynn that thank you very much for coming out tonight. I expected about 3 people total to show up with the weather and everything else. You have 3 strong candidates. I'm sorry that you have to make the choice and you can only vote for 2 of us. I hope that the third can serve the library as an alternate trustee, which that's how I started, and it's not a bad position to be in. But we all love the library, and I think that's the important thing. And we're all excited to the next phase of the library, when we can actually have some room to do some things within the library. Now, you can't do the bookkeeping in the library when the library is open because there isn't any space to do it because the circulation desk is occupied. So the most important thing is for you to vote. Encourage your neighbors and friends to vote, and come out to town meeting on the Wednesday, because in addition to community power and hand counting ballots, there are important things that are to be voted on at the town meeting. And thank you also to the Newbury Beautification Committee for providing the ham and beans dinner. That's a good way to start. At the Spruce Lodge, apparently the old location, not the one that's been used for the past couple of years. End of promo.
So thank you very much for all coming out there. Right, it's a tough night and you're doing the right thing. And how about a round of applause for